Hi friends, I'm Dave Barklow, pastor at Fort Walton Beach, First United Methodist. Welcome to the Pastor's Study, our daily devotional to help us focus our mind on the things of God. We are walking through the Gospel of Mark together right now. Sorry I disappeared in the middle of the week last week. The stomach bug went through my household, and for some reason my little children can bounce back in over this in 12 hours, and I slept for 2 days because that's what I hibernate when I get sick. But everyone is feeling much better. I appreciate those of you who knew, and we're praying for me and the family. Today, we're going to be reading together Mark chapters 12, verses 38 through 40. As he taught, he said, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes, and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogues, and places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearance say long prayers. They receive the greater condemnation." Often we think about Jesus and we remember him as meek as mild. We remember him as a fierce lover of people, forgiving, kind. But yet we forget that sometimes he had very strong criticism, very strong words for people. And his strongest words were reserved for religious hypocrites, for the religious leaders of his day. He says here to beware of scribes. Those were people who were religious teachers, people who sought to teach others the law, who sought to keep the law, to copy it down, to spread it around, to be religious leaders of their day. But Jesus says some of them do this for the wrong motives. They do it to be well thought of. They want respect in the marketplace. They wear their piety on their robes. Literally, to wear long robes was kind of a way of showing off. Having these long tassels that the law talked about was showing how righteous and how much you were following the law. They love to say long prayers. And here Jesus says, when you're doing all of that in order to appear righteous, instead of actually be righteous, when you care more about what people think than about what God thinks, then you will receive the greater condemnation. I think all too often, we as the modern church, we like to point at these scriptures and say, oh, look at these scribes and the Pharisees. But we can fall in the exact same traps, the respectability trap. When we start worrying about what people think about us and our churches more than actually following what Jesus says. We're more worried about growing our church than we are about being faithful to the law of loving God and loving our neighbor. When we start using the tools of society to make ourselves look good, like internet broadcasting, but without the true meat of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So my hope is that we as a church, you as a believer, that we will always make sure that our motives are for Jesus, for his kingdom, and for loving our neighbors. So whatever you do today, friends, let's strive not to be like these scribes, not to be worried about what people think about us, but to be worried about what Jesus would say about us and the way we conduct ourselves. Remember, friends, I love you. Take care of yourselves and shine the light of Christ.